Thank you very much, Ryan and LSA, to get me back to Baton Rouge again after last year. As I said, as Ryan said, I'm just gonna talk for the next, if technology works with me, that would be nice. First session, always technology problems. Let's see. There you go. All right, so as Ryan said, I'm working for MBP School of Coaches. We're gonna talk 5 to maximum 10 minutes about who we are, because I think it's very important for you guys to know. And as Ryan said, we have a project going on together, so I think it's very important to just give the context. We are born and based in Barcelona, Spain. And I would say after the European Cup, we are more than happy to say that, because if we have to look to the results of FC Barcelona, well, that's gonna be not so proud on that for the last few years. We were born, we started the project over 10 years ago, almost 12 right now. We started with creating our training methodology, basically. What we saw is that there was a need in global football, not only in the city of Barcelona, to develop players in a cognitive way. Because, for example, in the US is a great country in developing athletes. And developing athletes is probably the best, if not top 3 in the world. But in a lot of places, the cognitive side, how to teach players to understand the game so we can understand and talk about, okay, what we need to do in certain situations by creativity, by tactical intentions, how to solve those situations. So we started with creating our methodology, because every kid is different. Even if you have a category or a club or team under 10s, and you might have 20 players or 15 or whatever, there are 15 individuals, and they just want to be developed. They just want to be a better player tomorrow than today. And that's what we saw, and there was a need on creating a methodology based on those 4 questions. What do we need to train? What do we need to train our players to make sure that they can grow, like they can develop? Perfect. If we know what to train, then we should go to the pitch with the how to train it. Because if we don't know how to train, please don't go to the field and say, we're gonna do this, but it doesn't make sense, basically. It has to be a relation over there. Then, the when to train it. Last year we had, and Per was there, and you guys were there also, we had a lovely discussion, I think in the first session, do we need to ask a player of 6 years to give a pass or not? That was one of the main questions that we had last year. And it was a yes and a no at the same time. I think it's more a no, but then again, that's me. And why to train it? Because it's important just to relate everything together, all right? We've been doing coaching education back in 2014. We started in Barcelona. We still do education at our office. We're just located in front of the Camp Nou Stadium. We have educated for over 4,000 coaches, both online as in person, and we are active in 75 countries. All right. Then quickly about me, which Ryan said, and to be honest, I'm not the most important person over here. I've been working for MBP for the last 6 years, and before that I was coaching in Sporting Logo, which was the first division team back then, and for Club Brugge. But some people might know Club Brugge. When I was there, we didn't win anything. So, just saying. I left and they started winning everything. I don't know. Maybe something I did good or I did it really bad. I don't know. That's up to you guys to decide. Let's talk about the development of a game model. When Ryan and I were talking about, can you do a presentation about game model? Yes, easy. Can we do a lot in 45, 50 minutes? We can, but we cannot at the same time. It's gonna be a challenge to try to give a context to everything what we're gonna see, all right? So we're gonna focus on a few little things that I think is important for, depending on or looking to the experience that I had in the US, because I have been traveling a lot to the US in the last 2 years, I would say 10 times, to see different clubs, how they work and everything like that. So we're gonna talk about that. First of all, it's a Saturday morning, and there's people in this room, so I wanna ask a few questions. So we're gonna compare a game model for a high performance coach So you have over there our friend Postelogo in Tottenham. We have some other coaches, Xavi Alonso and everything, every coach like that. High performance versus a club academy coach. Let's say under 14, under 15. So I'm gonna launch some questions, or sentence over there, and I want to ask if it's high performance coach or an academy coach. What's important for this one? Winning trophies, for who is that important? High performance coach? Academy coach? No? Come on, it's Saturday morning. I know. I'm suffering as well. I just arrived yesterday after a horrible drive from Houston. So academy coaches should win trophies or not? No, all right, perfect. That's already better start than last year. Development of an individual player. High performance coach or not? No? Who's saying yes? Who's saying yes? No. Perfect. Academy coach? Yes. All right. Why not a high performance coach? Anyone? There were some people saying no. Tell me why. Tell me why. I'm a player in 2nd division in Spain. My dream is to play for Barcelona, and I have a coach, I'm over there, and he doesn't want to develop me. Because he needs to win trophies, that's right, but I want to develop myself as a player. So we can also highlight that as a high performance coach, all right? Sometimes it doesn't matter how. Sometimes it doesn't matter how we win. High performance coach? You're saying convinced, yes, doesn't matter. Do you think Angie agrees with you? Doesn't matter how we win or how we lose? He doesn't agree, but you're right. Exactly. In the end, it doesn't matter how. He just needs to get the 3 points, because if not on Monday, knock on his door, president, club director, pain in the ass. Sometimes it doesn't matter how. For an academy coach, doesn't matter. It does matter, right? Or not?
The Louisiana high school coach problem.
Doesn't matter or not? For an academy coach to win, or how we win. Do we want to win with transition only, having 20 chances against us and scoring 1 and winning with 1-0? Doesn't matter or not? In a high performance environment, we know that it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter in an academy environment or not?
It's not absolute. You can't be the worst, you don't need to be the best.
There you go, perfect. That's what I wanted to hear. Adrenaline, as a coach, emotions, should we control them? Is it possible to control them if you are in the Champions League final, 90 minutes, you're playing Real Madrid, by the way, and you're winning 1-0 and you're losing 2-1 in 94? Is it possible to control emotions? Kind of difficult, I would say, and especially against Madrid for me. For an academy coach, obviously emotions, we need to control them, especially because we are giving the example to younger kids. A player pathway, I'm just gonna skip that one, because if not, we're gonna go late on. And pressure from peers. We have, in high performance, we have pressure from fans, press, president, I don't know, players. The player that is not playing, trust me, he's not happy. Do we have pressure in an academy environment? Oh, come on, just be honest. Every parent is a pain in the ass.
Yes.
Just be honest. Just be honest. We have pressure as an academy coach. It's horrible. It's horrible. Actually, next time we should invite all the parents over here just to make sure that they understand that as a coach, the only thing that should matter to us and what matters to us is the development of a player, of their kid. They're not going to school to see how the teacher is teaching mathematics, but they are allowed to criticize you on the field. All right, game model. Some of the most typical quotes I have sometimes with coaches that we educate or clubs that we work with. What does it mean, a game model for a coach? Basically, it's his or her DNA, the way that he or she looks to the game. And I can be bigger fan of Guardiola, doesn't mean I like Klopp. Doesn't mean I don't like Klopp. I love him. But if I have to play in a certain way, I prefer to have possession. Doesn't mean I don't like him. Does that mean his or her team will always play that I want? No, it doesn't. It depends on so many factors, because maybe you don't have the players to play the game model that you want. Maybe it's not the perfect moment for you. It's not the perfect environment. I play 1-4-3-3, that's my game model. I don't need more. That's it. Well, you might not need more, but your players do. They need some more structure also. And this one, oof. When I was thinking about the codes on the plane, I was like, this is a typical code that I have. My game model is done, not gonna change for the next 30 years. Well, good luck. Good luck. The game is in a constant evolution. Everything that happened 15 years ago, when we started creating our mythology, oh, the game has become more physical, faster. It's become more tactical. There's different positions that the old-fashioned number 10. I was an old-fashioned number 10. This sounds strange to see me, but he doesn't exist anymore. He doesn't exist anymore. The old-fashioned number 10, he's now a right back or a left back. And the right back, probably 15 years ago, he was the most horrible player on the team, but he could run 3 marathons in 90 minutes. That was a profile, and we're going to talk about the profiles later on. All right? So everything develops and is in a constant evolution. Let's see if the sounds works. No.
I started to trick it, and football is evolving so much every day that you have to be evolving your life.
Have to have our blueprints, you know. We have to have passions. We have to be dominant. We have to be aggressive, you know. We have to be in the opponent's territory as much as we want. I want the ball. I want to attack them as much as possible. I want to prevent them attacking me as much as possible. But as well, I think we have to create the right culture around the club, you know. And that's what we're going to make a good thing in our players. Create an environment where everyone respects each other. A humility, and that people have to be accountable for what we want to achieve. You know, that's at least the basic, and after we can grow from there. And then we can create the identity that I have in my head for this football club.
I don't know if everybody heard it, but he says a few things, and I just put this video over here just to make sure and to make clear that I'm not gonna talk bullshit, because we're gonna talk about a lot of things that he said: culture, creating a culture, commitment, values as a coach, as a team. He has an idea in his head. He grew up as a coach with Pep Guardiola. He's competing with Pep Guardiola, and I guess it's nothing than frustrating that he loses the title on the last day or the last two, 3 games against his teacher, to say it that way. But he's talking about, okay, I have this in my mind. I think this is my game model as a coach. I want to implement this in the club. But there's some limitations. There's some limitations. First of all, there was in a high performance environment, and don't get me wrong, it's different than an academy environment. All right? In a high performance environment, most of the coaches, well, depending on the budget, you can get players that fit more in your game model, the way that you want to play, than other players. In an academy environment, we shouldn't try to do that. It does happen in some environments, and when we're talking about higher clubs, professional clubs, you're trying to select those players, the better players. All right. So what includes a game model? Again, I said that it includes a lot of things. When our coaches doing coaching education with us, they're preparing a presentation of 150, 200 slides probably. So if I have to do this, I have to ask Ryan for the whole morning. So that's impossible. So we're gonna see a glimpse of it, but we're gonna give the context, all right? First of all, and this is where we're gonna focus on today, is the contextual characteristics. Definition of the club and culture, what Arteta was saying, his game ID, the players' profiles, and the values. Because if you're gonna look back to the track record of Arteta in Arsenal, he signed some very good players because they fit in the way that he wants to play. And maybe Zinchenko, for example, is an example of a player that he gets. Might be not the best left back in the world. Well, he definitely isn't. but he's a perfect profile for what he wants to achieve. So in a high performance environment, obviously he probably wants the best left back in the world, but maybe he's not able to pay him. Or maybe he's in another club and he doesn't want to go to Arsenal. So contextual characteristics is very important. It's a very difficult word for me, sorry. Structural base and phases. Base structure, when the team is ready to begin the match, 1-4-3-3, 1-3-5-2, I don't know. Although this structure is going to be modified. It's just starting structure. It's saying, okay, we start 1-4-3-3, and then everything moves. Everything starts to move. The phases, offensive phase, defensive phase, transitions, attack to defense, and defense to attack, okay? And then you can add the set pieces also. Moments. The moments of the game are situations in space-time wise, recognizable by all the members of the system, so by all the players. They have to know perfectly what we want to do, and they are happening within a determinate phase, offensive phase or phases where we were talking about, during the game. Structure. We're talking about structure again, but when we were saying about the base structure, we were saying 1-4-3-3, maybe you adapt that by the players adapt by the moment. So we were talking about moments just a few seconds ago of the game. Okay, so maybe we are building up. There's two types of building ups: dynamic or static. Static is when the goalkeeper has the ball. What do I want to do? Now with the rule in the box, you can get two defenders. Maybe you can play 1-2-4. I don't know what you want to play. Perfect. All the players need to know that, and you need to think about when you're developing your game model. I want to do that. Doesn't make sense? Doesn't make sense or not? Game principle. This is a dynamic parameter that is based on the attention of the collective in a specific game moment. Locates the player. Think about what is pretended to achieve. Okay? So what do we want to do? Those are already 5 of the 8 factors of the game model. 6. So we were talking about principle. Now we're talking about sub-principle. We were talking about the what. Now we're talking about the how. This is a dynamic parameter again that belongs to a principle, where we were just talking about a second ago, and describe how they should behave during those situations. All right? During the game moment in order to fulfill the principle. Okay? And then scenario, because everything in our head might sound, hey, I sound like Pep Guardiola. I'm gonna win. But then I'm facing someone who's also a genius, or his players are very good and they are blocking me. So we should have kind of a plan B, saying, hey, micro situations during the game where it's not going as we want to, how can we adapt? Okay? And then something that marks MBP a little bit more than for me in the methodology, we've created fundamentals. All right, last year we talked about some of the fundamentals. Fundamentals are tactical situations that players keep on getting into, and we give the most optimized answer to. So we have individual fundamentals, we have line fundamentals, and we have universal fundamentals. And it can be so easy because it's the most common tactical situation. So probably most of the fundamentals, if we're gonna talk about those 171 that we have, which obviously we're not gonna do, then we're gonna be here for the next 4 months, which is not a bad idea, but my wife is gonna be pissed with me. We need to make sure, probably we already know them, those fundamentals. And there's a lot of players that we work with. We work with some players that are playing in MLS on an individual tactical base, saying, hey, that situation, I recognize that. I'm aware of that situation. Yeah, but you're unaware of where. So we need to make sure that players, in the end, players need a certain structure to understand the game. And in order to improve the individual performances, the more structure that we give, the more images, the more videos, they are gonna understand the game much better. So it's gonna be, hey, I recognize that situation, I've lived that 100 times before, I know what to do. So it's about making behaviors, all right? Those are the 8 main situations within a game model, all right? But then we have some add-ons. Then we have to start, because that's just on paper, presentation, whatever we wanted to call it. But then we need to start how to train this, because it's not playing FIFA on the PlayStation. That would be easy, because if you lose on FIFA, it's because you're bad or you're worse than the other one. You're just losing because the other one is better. So we need to start training, because my players need to understand what I'm expecting as a principal, sub-principal, in the different moments of the game. It's a lot of information. It's a lot. So we need to know how to go to the field, to make sure that we translate that we make it accessible for them in a language that they understand. Because players or coaches, they have a totally different brain. They have a totally different brain. And there might be players that have already a brain looking into coaching in a few years from now. But those are rare. We don't have them all. Microcycle obviously is perfect. When we know what to do, how to do it, we need to do it down and say, hey, this is going to be what it looks like in a week, what we can train and everything like that. Training sessions, and then obviously we have the set pieces, all right? Country, we were talking about the contextual environment. There's a triangle relation between country, culture, and club, all right? So first of all, when I'm a high performance coach, and then in a few slides we're going to talk about how can we do this in our environment as a club, all right, as an academy structure, for example. First of all, I need to know where am I coaching. So it's important where's the country located, because every country is different, and then every city is different, then every club is different. What is the football culture in my environment, all right? So when Arteta was talking about, hey, I want this to be involved, I want this to be commitment, over there. The club, where am I looking? What kind of club is this? Because we're just gonna have 5 examples of 3 out of 5 clubs are in the same league, and we will see the differences. First one, Atletico Bilbao. Country, Spain. And everybody would think, easy. One big limitation, or also one big opportunity, they only play with Basque people. Only with Basque people. So only from, 1 or 2 states in Spain. So what do they need to do as a club? Develop local talent. So it would be, I don't know, Louisiana, and only players from Louisiana. That would be awesome. And you need to develop. So this is a club that only is allowed to play with Basque players. So they need to start develop, and their model is develop from the academy structure, from under 11, under 12, having controlled every single player within the whole state. Every single player they have control. They know every single player at every corner, in order to make sure that they go to the club. And they have some competition in the Basque country. It's not the only club. You have Sociedad, you have Pamplona, which is close. You have obviously the big ones, Real Madrid, Barcelona, who are already picking some talents in that environment also. So they have to do something with what is the badge? What does it mean? What does it mean to play for Bilbao? And this one, I don't know if you guys follow the Euros, but this is the brother of Nico Williams. Well, let's say he was decent at the Euros. Chivas, my Mexican friends, they have kind of the same limitation or the same opportunity. They only play with Mexicans. So they are literally saying, hey, we like the vision of Atletico Bilbao, we're just gonna make it for the whole country. So that's a limitation as a coach that you need to be aware. Hey, I need to work with Mexican players. They might have a certain profile. All right, perfect. That's it. Or they're FC Barcelona. What do you need to expect when you're in Barcelona, working as a coach for FC Barcelona? A lot of politics, obviously. Not a lot of money. But then again, the type of play that they want, it doesn't. When we were saying it doesn't matter how to win, in this club it matters. Because the only thing that they want is control the ball, pass the ball, and they want to win at the end of the game. At the end of the game, they want to win, and if it's possible, with 3-4 goal difference as well. Because if there was a season, I think it was 2 seasons ago, when they won the league, they won, I think, 13 games 1-0. Trust me, the fans, they were pissed, and I was one of them. Because I didn't, not for the 1-0, because I didn't think they were playing well. But this is a club with different expectations than any other club in this world. This one, very close to Barcelona, Ajax. What does it mean as a coach to go to Ajax? You're in a different environment in the Netherlands. You know that you're the biggest club of the country, or at least they think they are the biggest club of the country. They need to promote players from the academy structure towards the first team, and they are asked to win. If you're playing with 18, 19 years old players and winning, that's sometimes it's not that easy. But it's the expectation of the club. It's the club culture. And then last one, when we said it doesn't matter how we win, that's Real Madrid. For me, that's Real Madrid. Sometimes it doesn't matter because of the 5 Champions League they won in the last 7 or 8 years. I don't know, I'm getting really pissed about it. It's good for Spanish football, but it hurts for me as a Barcelona fan. But they are always in control. They are always in control. So the expectation is different than in Barcelona. Again, same country, but it's different. It doesn't matter if we play the most beautiful football there is on the planet. We just want to win. We just want to win. All right? Game ID was the second point of the environment. How do you want to play as a coach? Do you want to play transition like Leipzig does or a Red Bull school? All right, perfect. Am I going to seek rapid offensive transition, or do I prefer to play a Barcelona ball position? Do I play more associatively, or do I prefer a more direct style of play? Perfect. It's something that, as a coach, you need to define. You need to define. It's your DNA. It's your identity. So again, I'm a bigger Guardiola fan. Doesn't mean that you're a club, and doesn't mean I'm not gonna like your playing style. Doesn't matter. In the end, it's, especially in high performance, it's the results. Players profile. This is something that with MBP we think there's different type of profiles on every single position. Okay, so depending on the game model, you want more. Some strange words, a sweeper, for example, or an imperative center back. So depending on this, and in a minute we're gonna see how we make those profiles, all right? Because it's based by the structures of Cerullo. And then we're gonna see some examples of players that are, for example, a space invader and everything like that. Based on the game model, you're gonna need certain type of profiles. When you're talking about, hey, I wanna play transition, perfect. You will need a lot of players that physically, they have the ability to play that type of play. I wouldn't have been able to play it. I'm not the type of player that they would have wanted. Box to box, for example, is a very important position for them. All right, so every profile we have a description on it. How do we make those descriptions? As I said before, Paco Cerullo was used to work for FC Barcelona. For me, he's a genius. And Pere probably knows the name, maybe knows the person also a little bit. He's a genius. He's a genius because everything that we've been talking about, how to develop players and everything like that, he was able to put it in human language. Well, very decent human language, I would say. It's not the easiest one, but he said there are 8 structures. And almost all the players will have those 8 structures, but there will be dominant ones. And this defines also the type of player that you're gonna be. So let's go through the 8 structures. Cognitive. This is, for me, if I was a coach in high performance, very important. It relates everything to the procession of player decision making. Smarter players. This is where we are focused with our methodology. This is what we want. Players that understand the game. Players that know what to do. Coordinative structure, it involves everything on motor skills, all right? And to the ability to adapt rapid, all right? Conditional structure, well, the name itself, it says it. It's more based on the physical skills, all right? Strength, endurance, flexibility. This is our friend from 17 years old right now. He has a lot of those three things. Socio-affective. So it's, well, the name itself, again, it all makes sense when you see the terms, the names of the structures. It's on developing interpersonal skills and strengthening relationships. So for example, one of the big things over there is a constellation. A constellation, one of the best constellations in the history of football, Jordi Alba with Messi. Messi knew exactly when Jordi Alba had the ball in the last or in the finishing zone where he should be. And at the same time, Jordi Alba knew perfectly where that ball was going to need to go. Because he knew, while not watching Messi, where he was going to be. So that's one of those structures. Emotive volitive, all right? Self-confidence. A lot of goalkeepers have this, for example. And they need this also. One good example is Marc-André ter Stegen. Because sometimes he's the type of goalkeeper that we said in the profiles. We were saying a defensive one, offensive one, and a sweeper. He's an offensive one. He's like another center back in the goal. Just his main job is stopping goals. But he needs this because he needs to challenge, and he needs to face challenge, and he needs to overcome them. Creative, expressive. Well, you have them all over there. Do I need to say something more? It's more and more. It's a structure that less players have. The success of Spain, for me, in this Euros, was part of this. Two wingers, old-fashioned wingers, maybe a little bit, because those wingers were disappeared for a while. And hey, they were destroying them. They were destroying every wing back. Mental, very important. Bioenergetic structure, all right? So everything to endurance and everything like that. Recovery, it's more to an athlete perspective. Those are the 8 structures of Cerullo. Right now, when we see this, next example is Kevin De Bruyne. By the way, I'm Belgium, so I'm talking good about Spain, but I'm Belgium and I'm not able to talk good about Belgium on the Euros because, no, that still hurts. But when we are talking, everybody wants a Kevin De Bruyne in his team. And right now, another question. What structures do we give to Kevin De Bruyne? What do we think 3 most dominant structure to the player Kevin De Bruyne? Let's go. Another Saturday morning, I've been talking for 20 minutes. Come on. What structures do we give?
Cognitive, for sure.
Cognitive? Sure? All right, all right, all right. Be convinced. What else? What else? Bioenergetic? Do we believe that Kevin De Bruyne is?
He's always right.
Exactly. And he's always tired after 70 minutes. Mental is exactly is one of the structures that we could give him. Yeah. I don't think it's on the slide, but I agree. What else? Come on, one more.
Emotive.
Emotive? Why? Exactly. All right, perfect. Let's see which 3 that we have. So we were saying cognitive at first, that was spot on. Not meaning that what you were saying, Vera, and what you were saying, just, I agree. I completely agree. But we would say cognitive because he masters true passing and finishing in the last zone. He's one of those players that, especially against France, when I was suffering, when we had to face France, I was like, nah, we're done. We're done. But when he was on the ball and I was sitting, I was like, going. Yeah, and then he didn't score, but okay. Creative, expressive, obviously, because he's one of those players that have something special. When he's on the ball, you know what I was just saying, you know something is going to happen. All right? Same for Jude Bellingham. What do we have? What do we have for Jude Bellingham? Everybody knows who he is. He played a horrible Euros, but well, he didn't play well. Sorry, he didn't play horrible. He didn't play well. What do we give to Jude? Do we give him one of these or 2, 3?
Conditional?
Conditional, I agree. We are getting shy. Okay, let's go for this one. Cognitive, again, in a different way than Kevin De Bruyne. What he dominates very well is, I need to be there when the ball is coming. And that's why he had an amount of goals in the first part of the season. Because he was running where other players would stop running. And that's how he made his goals. Cognitive, what we were saying, and conditional also. Last one, finisher forward, Haaland. The reason why we give him, for example, emotive volitive, is that he is not participating in the game, or not a lot, but maybe he touches 5 times the ball, 3 of them are goals. That's a quality. That's a serious quality. Having a player that you don't need, you're literally playing with 10, but the minute that you need him, he's there. And he fails a lot also, but he scores a lot of goals. And that is a quality. Obviously, cognitive is finishing actions, well, we all agree on that. Last point for this, as a characteristic for the coach, values, all right? And this one is very important on academy level. What do I want to represent? What do I want to represent as a coach? And a lot of, even a lot of companies have values and everything like that. But do they really care about the values? Do they really show them? What does it mean commitment? What does it mean commitment? I don't know. Effort. Effort, what does it mean? I don't know. So as a coach, we have to say, okay, those are my values. What I'm gonna do that my team understands that value and they are applying that value also, all right? Base structure, well, what we were saying about the initial positioning, all right? Again, this can vary from 1-4-3-3 to a lot of systems, all right? Phase and the moments, we were talking about offensive phase, for example. For every single moment that we see over here, all right, we need to make sure that we have this implemented in our game model. So static build-up is when the goalkeeper has the ball. Dynamic build-up play is when we are on the initial zone of our part of the field, when we are trying to build up, but we are under pressure or something like that. Progression play, 3-4 zone play, and then the finishing zone. 3-4 zone play is literally from this part to this part, or more or less. All right. Finishing zone is when we are getting into the box. All right. So for example, this is just an example of how our structure. We started with a 1-2-4-1-3 over here. All right. So the goalkeeper's on the left, obviously. So when we were saying base structure, all right, 1-4-3-3, and we were adapting towards a progression play, progression zone play in the offensive phase because we have the ball. So we were adapting. So I'm gonna put this one again. So you can tell, okay, central defenders or wingbacks are higher, and we have the central midfielders, and we are trying to get one attacking and the wingers and forward very high. It's just an example of probably one of the best teams, if not the best in the world, obviously. Then again, having this, and I think we go perfect on timing for the last 5 minutes. This is in a high performance environment, and again, it's just a 10% of what a game model contains in for a high performance coach. All right. Most of you guys are probably in an academy structure, working in a club. How can we integrate this in a club? First of all, we should ask, why should we invest time? And there's a lot of things that is going on in the club. Why should we invest time in making a game model or a club curriculum? First of all, it's unique. All right? It represents everything what the club wants to stand for, on and off the field. So when we were talking, and that's why we focused on the first part, because it's the most accessible part for clubs at this point, is saying, hey, what are our values? How do we want to play? What do we want to do in different phases? All right, perfect. And player's profile, it might be difficult. It might be difficult to say, hey, I want this kind of player, this kind of player, and this kind of player, because as a local club, you need to do it with the players that you have sometimes. So this is the difference with high performance, all right? That maybe in a club, you are not allowed to choose the type of player that you want. It's unique. All teams will play in a recognized way. Structure, principles, make it as close as possible. Obviously, let a little bit of freedom to the coaches to adapt towards the needs that they have also within the play, all right? The coaches know perfectly what the expectations are from the club and how the club wants their players to be developed, all right? So in the end, it's a lot of work creating that curriculum, but we know perfectly as a coach, all right, I'm working in this club, the expectations of this club are this, and this. And maybe as a coach, I can say, hey, this club is not for me. I don't believe in the vision, in the mission they want to play. Why not? It's possible. It's possible. There's an individual development plan, which is very important in an academy structure, for all the players, depending on the profiles on long term, all right? So there's a development plan, and which is what a lot of parents are asking, what are you gonna do with my little one? All right, this is the plan that we want, this is the way that we wanna play, this is the way that we're gonna develop him or her, all right? Players will have an easier and more natural process going from one category to another one, because basically we are playing in the same system. It's as easy as that, because in the end, they are little kids. They are little kids. They already have a lot of pressure also on school and everything like that. They just want to play. They just want to enjoy. So if we can make it as easy as possible, the better. And it will lead to results. When we were talking about winning trophies, oh my God, the first year as a coach, as an academy coach, I wanted to win every single game. And I let myself fool around. I was horrible as a coach. If I look back, that was 14, 15 years ago. I'm getting old. I wanted to win every single game. I had a really good team in my local town. Really good team. Some of the players are now still in the first division academy. They were 5, 6 years old, and I wanted to win everything. I wanted to win. I made that typical mistake, but I was 16 years. I just wanted to win. I just wanted to make sure that the parents were not a pain in the ass for me, and I'm competitive. I'm competitive. Every time I want to win. So that's the way I am. That was the way that I was the first as a coach. But then I said, hey, I just want to develop them. I just want to start developing them and making sure that they have fun, which is very important at those ages. And it will lead to results, because development of players, we are talking about players, but not everyone. The percentage of players or youth academy players that go to the professional game is 0.00005% probably. Not a lot of players go to professional, unfortunately. We would love to, but it's just being honest. In the Club Brugge Academy, when we were working, we created a methodology that they are still using, at least something that I did pretty decent. We created a methodology for the club back then. We said if we have 1 or 2 players that are able to get into our first academy, first team structure at the age of 17 or older, we worked brilliantly. 1 or 2 players in the best academy, well, top 3 academy of the country. 1 or 2 players. And then the other ones, we wanted to get them to other first division clubs, to the second division clubs, or even amateur. It will lead to results, development. It will lead. And some of the players that we had, Charles de Ketelaar was sold for 35 million euros to AC Milan. Didn't do well there, but he did amazing at Atlanta. We have some other players who now 6 or 7 are in the first academy, when the first team, when they were playing at the academy at 9, 10 years old. So it will lead to results, creating a development plan. And just 2 case studies that we had with MBP also. Those are 2 professional clubs. So in 2018 we started working with Atlético Mineiro in Brazil. All right. So with Atlético Mineiro we started to create their own methodology. These are the results on today. They won different youth tournaments. We were saying that results don't matter, but they were not competing in those tournaments. So winning those tournaments was huge for them. They developed over 15 players to professional football. They sold 1 academy player that we had at the age of 14 to City Football Group, Savio. He was playing in Girona this season. He just signed for Man City, but he was already part of the group. And they transferred a lot of players to other academy clubs also. Then, last case also, we started with La U de Chile, and Chile obviously, they have been the most successful team in Chile, in all categories, with most academy debuts since then. One of the 3 South American clubs with most players represented on CONMEBOL tournament in the 20, and they have an academy player that was at the age of 16, I think, transferred to Midtjylland in Denmark. So this is 2 examples of big clubs that we with MBP have worked with. You have a lot of clubs in South America, like Independiente del Valle. A lot of players in Ecuador were developed by them because they invested a lot in time, in money, and especially in creating their own curriculum. Right? So the game model, the development of a game model, is much more than just, hey, what do we see on the Saturday, on the Sunday, on the pitch? And it's about much more than just winning. In a high performance environment, I agree. You need to win, you need to get the 3 points, because at the end of the weekend, you get sacked if not. It's as simple as that. But as an academy coach, we should think on long term. We should focus on, hey, how can we create a curriculum that represents my club with the values, how we want to play, and how can I produce players to a higher level? All right? I think, well, this was just an example of what we did on prioritizing different contents depending on the player profile we wanted to develop with the Chile. Well, that's it. Questions? Any questions? I think we're perfect on timing, Ryan? Perfect. There you go. Questions? No? Any other question? No? Well, then again, thank you.